What's a stupid question that someone legitimately asked you? How long have you been twins? I was showing a friend a telescope and pointing out all the constellations and planets I knew, and he legitimately asked me, where's Earth? If there's a deep end and a shallow end, how come the water is flat on top? Can you turn him so we don't see the scratch on his cheek? Asked of me as we were reviewing the portrait photography of her son. No ma'am, it's a picture. You should have asked this while we were in the camera room. Someone asked me to repeat the pronunciation of my last name and followed it up with, are you sure? If penguins need water to survive, doesn't that means they're fish? How did they train all the dinosaurs in the Jurassic Park movies? You think Forrest Gump is still alive? The person who asked this thought Forrest Gump was a real person, and his proof for his existence was he played for Alabama and met the president. Used to be a whitewater raft guide. No end of dumb questions. One was, do the rocks, in the river, go all the way to the bottom? No, they're those special floating rocks, WTF. Also, do we get out where we started? Implying the river goes in a circle, like an amusement park ride. I worked at Yellowstone National Park in the early 2010s, and one of the tourists, a French lady, came up and asked me when the animals were going to be brought out for people to see. Is that your real skin? I think she meant to ask if I'd had cosmetic work done, but I was quite alarmed. No, it's not. It's a backup skin that I carved out of a turnip. My mother had dementia, and the social worker asked me, what relation are you to your mother? I'm lactose intolerant, so you can't eat eggs. Well, I can't actually, but that's because I'm also allergic to eggs. Someone asked if my kids, then aged 3 and 6, were twins. If my vagina slit is horizontal cause I'm Asian. I was working at a By the Slice pizza place and had a woman come up and stared at the pizzas under the heat lamps for about a minute or two before asking, what's the difference between the cheese pizza and the pepperoni pizza? I responded with, the pepperoni pizza is topped with cheese and pepperoni. After a long pause, she asked, and what about the cheese pizza? Taking a second to compose myself, I replied, it just has cheese on it. Another long pause. Just cheese? No sauce? Jesus Christ on a pogo stick. All of our pizza has pizza sauce on it, ma'am. Another long pause. Then she just left without saying another word. Edit for clarity, this was 1986, in a mall. It wasn't a high-end / gourmet pizza place. No frills. Same sauce on every pizza. Same cheese blend on every pizza. The pizzas were all made off-site and delivered into the fridge, where they sat until one of us pulled it out, unwrapped it, and popped it in the oven. It was near the end of the day and I was just selling off what was left before we closed, and those two were the only types of pizza left in the case. I'm blind. Somebody asked me how I walk. I was at Niagara Falls with my British sister-in-law. We were looking at the section of the river right where the water goes over the falls. She asked me, is the water very toxic, then? I replied, no, the Great Lakes is where southern Ontario gets its drinking water. Why would you think it's toxic? She replied, well, everyone who falls in the river here, dies. I had to explain that they died because they went over the falls. This had never occurred to her. I was on the phone with an American-based hotel chain, looking to book a hotel in Seoul. The agent wasn't familiar with that location, so I shared that it was in Korea. Kansas. No, the country Korea. Silence while typing. North or South Korea? I refrained from pointing out the likelihood of an American chain having a location in North Korea. I was planning a vendor event and I had a sales rep call me and say the flyer says an 8-feet table will be provided. Is that per vendor or are they all sharing one? I was selling a party tent 20 feet x 20 feet. Some rando on marketplace asked me if it would fit in their backyard. LOL, I don't know, never been to your backyard. Maybe measure if you have a 20 feet x 20 feet space. Another time I was selling a black dress also on marketplace, and some woman asked me if it would meet the dress code for her new waitress's job at Chili's. How the fuck I'm supposed to know that, lady? Is there internet in Africa? At my old job a couple years ago, tourists from New York asked if they had to change their currency to buy things in here in Hawaii. My brother-in-law's girlfriend was amazed that I had 2 brothers and no sisters and asked me how that is possible, because she thought that humans gave birth in a boy/girl/boy/girl sequence and couldn't wrap her mind around how someone could give birth to 3 boys and no girls. I'm not convinced that she is not some alien trying to pass off as a human and failing miserably. How do you say bon voyage in French? It wasn't a question, but a statement that a well-educated friend made. She said, "I don't believe in dinosaurs." I replied, "How do you explain all the dinosaur bones they've found?" She couldn't answer. Madagascar from the movie is a real place. My kid once saw a dam on TV and asked, "Is that Notre Dame?" Haha, not really stupid because she was just a little kid, but it still makes me laugh to this day, so I thought I'd share. Do you curl your hair every day? Why is your hair always curly? I dunno, it grows that way, man. What do Jewish people do? In response to me saying that Chinese food places are closed on Thanksgiving, I have a conjoined toe. The normal stupid question is, does that make you swim faster? They're conjoined, not webbed. The stupider version got asked when I was staying in a trailer park my dad lived in. One of the girls saw my foot and asked, "Did you ever try just pouring hot water on it?" I was at Walmart, a worker, young kid, asked about my hat. I told her I have cancer, and the chemo caused me to lose my hair. She looked at me square in the eye and said, "Did you survive?" It took everything in my power not to say no, I didn't. I'm actually dead. I'm a ghost. My mom to me when I was 16, "Why do you want me to buy you tampons if you don't have a hole?" Face with raised eyebrow. She believed that girls did not have holes, vaginas, until you had sex. She thought that penises created vaginal canals when your virginity was lost. She thought that by me putting tampons in the cart that I was admitting to not being a virgin. Someone asked me once if bananas were vegan. Their justification was maybe they're tested on animals, huh? I work in a restaurant, so I get dumb questions all the time. A few from customers. Is there cheese on a cheeseburger? Do you sell batteries? Those numbers on the menu, is that the price? Customer, how many cookies can I get with this gift card? Me, that depends how much money is on it. Customer, okay. Well, how many muffins can I get with it? Not me, but one time some guy who was from the US, who had driven to the west coast of Canada in the summer with his snowboard, asked my grandma where the ski hill was while she was at the gas station. She was like, sir, there is no snow this time of the year." The American guy couldn't understand how there was no snow in summer. He was like, "But this is Canada. Hell, even in winter these last couple years, there has been very little snow." I do recall hearing that the Whistler ski hill/resort is facing warming winters that will eventually shut it down forever. If the, very obviously, boy/girl twins I was caring for were identical. It happened several times. My boss realized he messed up on timelines he promised to the client, and he asked me if the person I manage can get 60 hours of work completed in 32 hours. I laughed at him. "What do you do for a living?" It was at a restaurant. I was their server. "I'm a cook at a bar." Someone while reading our food menu said, "French toast? Is that some kind of beer flavor?"